Toyota, the brand that's synonymous with reliable, stable, and fuel efficient. Sensible to the core, Toyota has built its empire on cars like the globally dominant Corolla and the quintessential American Camry. But here's the kicker, deep within Toyota's DNA lies a streak of bold innovation that rarely gets the spotlight, and when it does, the results are breathtaking. Enter the Lexus LFA, a car that didn't just shake up the auto industry but redefined its boundaries. This isn't just about assembling a fast car, it's a saga of obsession, endurance, and audacity. A vision so ahead of its time, it left others playing catch-up. To understand how Toyota reached this pinnacle of engineering brilliance, we need to rewind to the early 2000s. Toyota was riding high, but a critical question loomed: what's next? That's where the story begins, with a company standing at the crossroads of legacy and uncharted ambition. A supercar dream takes shape. Toyota was then reaching new peaks. With its reputation as bulletproof as ever, they had become the hybrid leaders with the Prius, and they had always been outselling their rivals in nearly all the classes before. There is, however, a darker side to success. The company was flirting with the danger of being seen as really, unexciting. They had their top managers, who were aware of the situation. It was not their goal to be just a car maker. They wanted to produce something that would be a matter that caught the attention of the greatest automobile enthusiasts in the world. Haruhiko Tanahashi, the chief engineer who would later be known as the creator of the LFA, was the pioneer of this project. Tanahashi was not inclined to get onto the firm's traditional way of upgrading and improving, so he did not limit his scope of projects only to those that Toyota had already exploited. He was thinking that he could come up with something that would be able to compete with Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche. He was very open about his desires. "We were not trying to replicate anyone," he revealed later. "We were determined to come up with a product that nobody else had ever made." Project LFA was a moonshot initiative, and the first step was to prove Toyota could make the perfect supercar or else. Right from the start, it was clear that this car was out of the norm. While most supercars of the age were based on aluminum chassis, Toyota went only for carbon fiber, a material that, on the one hand, is light, but that, on the other hand, is extremely difficult to work with, also has a double feature of being immensely strong. To say that this was the most daring would be an underestimation. Carbon fiber was typically used for Formula 1 race cars or the most luxurious hypercars. It is not a thing that mass-market car makers usually deal with. However, Toyota didn't stop there. Instead of the carbon fiber fabrication outsourcing that most of the car manufacturers did, they chose to produce their unique methods in-house. This led to a special carbon fiber loom, a machine capable of weaving the material into incredibly precise patterns. The decision added years of development time and untold millions in costs, but it gave Toyota total control over the car's weight, strength, and rigidity. The only thing to say is that it was an obsession with perfection that was quite close to madness. What do we get? The body of the LFA was a work of art. It was light enough to kindle envy among its rivals, yet it was also strong enough to endure the brutal forces created by the screaming V10 engine. By the way, speaking of that engine, the heart of the beast, a V10 like no other. Engine-wise, the Tanahashi team was far from the mollified. They wanted something that not only ran, but also was a song. Toyota successfully came out of their first cooperation with Yamaha, having built in a 4.8-liter V10 that was to become the main part of the LFA. This was not just an energy source, it was a masterpiece full of genius engineering. The car's engine developed 552 horsepower and reached 9,000 RPM, which was very high. The cherry on the cake is that it could accelerate from idle to redline in only 0.6 of a second. That was so fast a conventional analog tachometer could not get to the redline in time. Consequently, Toyota switched to the digital display instead. What was it like to listen to this? Pure ecstasy. The car reviewers could only compare its sound to a Formula 1 car, a Banshee wail, which could make you feel the creeps. However, the V10 was more unique electrically than the power and the sound it made. It was a masterpiece of lightweight engineering, being of a lighter weight than many V6 engines of the time. This weight-saving approach was applied to every single part of the car, making sure that the LFA was as agile and responsive as it was powerful. However, the description of a car of this kind as a servo mechanism in the form of individually fantastic pieces is something that has no relevance at all. The whole system has to operate in an integrated manner without any breakdown, even under the most severe conditions. Toyota's engineers achieved this by incessant testing the LFA on the most challenging tracks and roads of the planet, such as the famous Ring of Fire, the Nürburgring, and a circuit in Germany called the Green Hell. The Nürburgring truly was, and still is, no plaything. Its 13-mile-long track that winds through, behind, and over the scenic Eiffel Mountains has been the place where humans and machines have been famously challenged, and where egos have been humbled. For Toyota, this place was the ultimate test. The crew members used to spend innumerable hours standing by and working on the car's steering, suspension, and airflow through small settings that the drivers would enlighten them concerning. The goal was simple: to create a car that felt alive, an extension of the driver's body, but perfection came at a cost. The project stretched on for nearly a decade as Toyota refined and re-refined every aspect of the car. Delays piled up, and skeptics began to question whether the LFA would ever see the light of day. A price to pay. The moment the LFA came out in 2010, it greeted us with a price tag that almost shocked people: $375,000. A piece of information for your consideration was that it was priced even more than the Ferrari 458 Italia or the Lamborghini Gallardo, the two closest competitors to it. Critics noticed almost instantly that Lexus, Toyota's luxury division, didn't possess the same esteem that Ferrari or Lamborghini did. Why would anyone give away such an amount of money for a car from a brand that is famous mostly for luxury sedans? The answer was simple: it was the feeling of ownership that was the most important. LFA was not just a car, it was a message as well. All of its parts, including the handcrafted carbon fiber body and the immaculately crafted audio, made it an unforgettable piece. On the other hand, the majority of the supercars that are really driven but are mainly made to be shown off were not LFA ones, as it was primarily designed for people who adore driving. Toyota decided to build only 500 cars, ensuring that the LFA would remain exclusive. Each car in turn was manufactured upon the client's order. The clients even had a wide selection of possibilities that were not available to them before. For example, do you want a certain kind of purple for the exterior paint? No problem. What about having custom stitching on the seats? The clients are handed a custom design. Legacy of the LFA, this supercar Lexus LFA has turned into a legend during the period since it was officially launched. Those who in the first place were shied by the substantial price now reconsider it and regard it as very cheap in the light of rarity and performance. Collectors have increased the prices to unimaginable levels so that a used LFA now frequently costs more than 100% of their original MSRP. However, the LFA's majesty is not strictly dictated by some financial metrics such as price level or auction values. It is all about what it evokes. That is the time when Toyota grew bolder and ready to step into the unknown ground in making an engineering masterpiece and an on-road masterpiece. It is a car that takes us from reality to the magic illusions. Toyota is a daddy of practical cars, yet it is a big car maker who can dream, and when it does, it is capable of coming up with great things too. Toyota's primary goal of building a supercar was not immediate. It was a vision that started from the unchecked dreams of the giants in motorsport. By the end of the 1980s, the company had already offered the globe frontline motorcar durability and value, but the luxurious and performance sectors appeared to be altogether absent. However, Toyota had assembled their engineers behind closed doors who, while they were dreaming, were also busy with the development of the project. The Supra was the one they prided more on, the high-performance car that became the symbol of the company. It was at this point, around the early 2000s, that Toyota decided to use carbon fiber as the material to be used in the LFA. And what one is that? Instead of companies like Toyota, which contracted outsourced companies to do carbon fiber production, Toyota itself chose to do it. Yes, they built their looms for weaving carbon fiber. It's as if a cook planted the seeds and baked the perfect bread by himself. Why? Maybe because Toyota thought that no one else would be able to make materials of a high enough quality to meet their demands. The company was very innovative, and this is when the first troubles appeared. By 2005, the auto industry of the whole world had undergone great changes. Hybrids were coming into play, and dinosaurs, the gas-guzzling sports cars, seemed to be. The LFA, which was already deeply involved in development, was now going against the market trends that were changing. Would it be a loss of resources on a colossal scale, or would it be the moment that Toyota becomes something different? A question no one could answer, yet. Shaping the beast. Right from the beginning, Toyota had a vision that for the LFA, the engine would turn out to be the most unique and brilliant one at that time, mostly produced by Japanese firms such as Toyota. In doing so, Toyota sought an alliance with Yamaha, a company that has always been linked to loud music instruments and motors. Yamaha was not merely a contributor to the LFA's 4.8-liter V10 engine, they were the major manufacturer. Yes, they were even the ones who helped in the tuning of it. This way, by using the V10 engine at F1 tracks and a variety of road cars, that was the aggressive purr from the LFA. It should be noted that the engine's high frequency was no longer just noise, but rather a kind of message and a challenge. However, here's the part that makes your hair stand on end. That engine not only had an outstanding output of 553 horsepower, but was also exceedingly compact, being even smaller than a typical V8 and almost as light as a V6. Here, Toyota made the engine so responsive that from standing to a 9,000 RPM redline took less than a second. Subsequently, the transmission was added. Toyota came up with a 6-speed automated manual gearbox, a technology that was incomprehensible since dual-clutch systems were the latest trend at that time. Critics were asking why Toyota preferred that model even when it had already been outphased. Toyota in turn became even more insistent that this setup was the perfect way to get a car to have the most physical and cognitive feel of driving. Whether they were right or not remains an open question, but one thing that was the case: the LFA was not to be marginalized. It was to be the one, which would change the rules of the game. Now, let's focus on the fact that the LFA's sound is a result of the one thing that the LFA does better than any other car, and it is singing. The creators did not just leave everything by chance. They meticulously crafted the harmonics of the car with the Yamaha music division to get the perfect acoustics, which were later amplified by a series of resonance chambers designed to make the engine's natural tones louder and last longer. It was as if magic had happened for sure. Each gear shift, blast of the throttle, and speed curb come together to a tune like no other. It wasn't just a car, it was a concert hall on wheels. And when the journalists had finally taken their turn on the racetrack, they all felt the same. LFA wasn't just a fast car, it was the car that made you feel fast. Its sound became the car's signature, a siren's call that no other car was able to reproduce. This is where everything starts getting squirrely. By the 2000s, Toyota was looking back on a whole decade of paying money for the LFA and testing all sorts of prototypes, even up to the failing point. The car's carbon fiber monocoque chassis was indeed revolutionary, but the giant challenge of its perfection was also apparent. Toyota's in-house production method was slow, overpriced, and sometimes laconic to the extreme. And then the financial crisis hit in 2008 and your life was upside down. Thus, a $375,000 supercar, a Lexus supercar no less, that not so long ago was all about topping the charts of gluttony, now became the epitome of luxury. There were rumors in the air concluding that Toyota might waive the project. The conflict escalated within the company. Was the LFA achieving the goals? Has the whole thing become just hype? Well, Toyota went against the odds and thus became unpredictable in their way of doing things. Instead, they took a different track by injecting more money and staff into the project. Hence, the LFA would not only launch, but blow away every one of the expectations, proving that we cannot think straight ahead. Toyota wasn't just inventing a car, it was bringing a legend to life. Unveiling the legend, it was nothing less than a revelation when LFA made its debut in 2009 at the Tokyo Motor Show. The design was bold yet refined, aggressive yet elegant. Every curve, every line was a testament to the obsessive attention to detail that had defined the car's development. But there was one catch. Toyota announced that only 500 units were to be produced. This was more than a simple marketing ploy. It was a statement. The LFA wasn't intended to come off the production line as a mass-produced model. It was expected to be rare, an artifact of the synergy of engineering and artistry. And then there was the price, $375,000. The price of the LFA was not just the competition to Ferraris and Lamborghini, but it was also the competition of the idea that Toyota, a company that produces Camrys and Corollas, could be a part of the same people's minds. It was a risky move to be sure. The feedback regarding the LFA was initially controversial. Critics praised its handling, its balance, and, of course, its sound. However, some could not get over the cost. For $375,000, they argued, you could buy cars that were faster, flashier, or more recognizable. Nevertheless, something intriguing happened over the years. The LFA not only preserved its value, but also built a name as one of the most focused driving supercars in the automotive industry. Although the LFA was no longer produced after 2012, its influence has continued till today. Indeed, to date, it remains one of the most eminent supercars ever manufactured, which is a representation of Toyota's continuous attention to quality and excellence. However, the most splendid thing it could do is that it modified the brand perception. Toyota, traditionally referred to as the producer of sensible and unimpressive cars, has finally shown that they can make something outstanding. The LFA is more than just a vehicle that is owned or driven by people. It is an experience. As for the majority of us, it's a stern teacher that unfolds before our eyes what transpires when passion and precision intermesh. Don't forget to subscribe below and hit the like button. Write what you, for example, love about LFA Toyota in the comments, and let us know.